All right, so welcome back, Lisa. So I want to start today's session the same way we started the other ones, which is I just want to do a real brief check-in. I know we have kind of a big agenda for today, and so we'll check in with each other. Let's talk about the homework from last session,
Okay.
And then we'll just dive into our agenda for today, and we'll kind of outline and make sure that we're still kind of on track with what's relevant. Okay. So just a brief check-in. How are you feeling today, and thinking about coming back in to talk about this?
Yeah. I mean, today's just been a long day. I'm hungry, as you can hear in my stomach. I think it's been helpful. You know, I've been doing some of the sort of taking care of myself stuff that we've talked about, and you know, yeah. So I'm trying to do some of that. You know, Mike's still kind of doing his thing.
Yeah.
So
okay. So nothing's changed in terms of Mike and his drinking. You've been trying to take a little bit better care of yourself. I do recognize you're coming here today after a long day, so maybe a little tired.
Yeah.
Okay.
But no, it's been helpful. I'm glad. Yeah.
Okay.
Glad I'm here.
Okay, good. So when you left last time, last session, you know, you've already been working on a few different things. So you've talked about natural consequences. You've done some homework about that. We've practiced communication. You had some goals around your own self-care and your social life. And we decided in the last session that it would be good to talk about kind of when does the change come for Mike. And you were thinking about treatment.
Yeah.
So the last time we talked about what kind of treatment you would like to see Mike do, what he might be willing to do. We talked about cost as well and just some of the logistics of it.
Yeah.
So when you left last time, you were thinking that you'd like to see him go to inpatient.
Yeah.
You weren't sure that he'd actually be willing to do it.
Yeah.
And so we came up with some backup options too,
Yep.
outpatient and therapy.
Yep.
So I gave you quite a bit of homework last time, which was to do some research about affordability, availability, and just kind of fit.
Yeah.
So I wonder what came of that research? Did you have time to do it? What can you tell me?
Yeah. So I, you know me, I'm like a planner, and so I, called our insurance. We both have the same insurance, and so I'm not sure if that's like double benefits or what, but you know, because it's his employer, my employer. But so I figured out like what was covered, and of the three sort of in the area options, two of them are covered.
Okay.
And sort of they're like in network, and you know, sort of the percentage that we would be responsible for. You know, I think financially we can make work. You know, that's not how I would choose to spend that money. But so two of the three of them, and you know, kind of looked at their websites. One of them I really like I don't know if he'll like it or not, but I thought it was you know, it had a nice, seemed like a lot of professionals maybe went there. So I kind of, maybe that would be more his speed. I even talked to somebody there.
Great.
And then the therapist, I sort of looked, two of them didn't get back to me yet. And which, you know, kind of grinds my gears, but is what it is. And then, the other two did get back to me. They do have availability. They're both out of network, but like, you know, I know we've done out of network stuff before, so.
Okay. So it sounds like you have, of the inpatient and outpatient places, it sounds like there's one in particular that you liked.
Yeah.
And which one was that, inpatient or outpatient?
That was intensive outpatient.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you found an IOP that you think would be a good fit. It's in network. You have a backup option for outpatient that's in network. And you have two possibilities for therapists that he could choose from. And then I know you were really hoping that he would say yes to inpatient at some point. Did anything come of that research?
I had just like sort of looked around and honestly didn't even call them because I don't know. I don't know if he'll do it.
Okay. So you were feeling a little demoralized when you thought about would he say yes, and then you thought maybe it's not worth looking, or it was hard to have the motivation to do the research.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you want to do about that? I wonder, one option is we could just put the idea of inpatient aside. Or if you feel like you do want help finding a good fit for inpatient, in case he does say yes to that, then I could help you more with that. Which would you like to do?
I don't know. I mean, I like the one that I like, the one that's in network and that I like, you know, and kind of like you pointed out, we have a backup for it. So to me, it's better than nothing. So I think I just kind of want to keep on that path of doing the ones here that are intensive outpatient. Maybe.
Okay. So it sounds like you, even though in the last session you were leaning more towards inpatient, it sounds like right now you're leaning more towards outpatient.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
because I think he'll just be more likely. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to prepare for something that you are not sure is going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
You already did a lot of research.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there's a little bit of that too, you know, like I was just kind of like, you know, using my free time to do this stuff and call places and look stuff up, you know.
Yeah. And, you know, I guess I want to acknowledge that once again you're doing the heavy lifting here.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think the good news here is anywhere he goes is going to do an evaluation. And so if he does say yes to outpatient and he does go to outpatient and it really is, they make a determination clinically that he needs inpatient, they'll let us know that. So even if we kind of guess wrong at the right thing, we'll end up knowing through this process. So since you're leaning more towards outpatient, you have one you like, it's in network, you can afford it, it feels good to you, and you've kind of lost your wind for the looking at inpatient, we'll just go with that for now.
Okay, yeah.
Does that feel okay?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So, so great job on doing the homework, because without that, we really can't move into our agenda for today. So I know that was a lot of work that you put into that. So thank you.
Yeah.
So here's what I want to do for the agenda for today is I want to do a little bit of the preparation, which includes thinking about motivation and thinking about how to approach him and kind of preparing for that. And we're going to lean on some of the work that we've already done with the positive communication. So we'll use that again today.
Okay.
Does that still feel like the most relevant and helpful thing we could do with today's session?
I mean, yeah, I want him to, like, I can't keep going on like this, so yeah, I want
You're
him to
feeling
go.
ready for that?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So whatever I can do, you know, because I'm running out of ideas.
Okay. Okay, good. So before we get to the actual asking him to do something, let's think about some of the preparation. So one is the thing what you've already done, which is before we go to him asking him for anything or asking him to do anything, we want to know what we're asking him to do. And so you have more clarity on that now because you actually have a place you want him to go and a phone call you want him to make.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's think first about, I want to think about motivation. So there's two parts of this. I want to think about first, if he were to do this thing that you want him to do, if he were going to spend time going and meeting people he doesn't know and talking about his feelings and not drinking alcohol.
Yeah.
Why would he do such a thing?
I mean, well, it would get me off of his back.
Okay.
Like, you know, and he's always saying that.
And how would he say it?
Like,
He would say
I think-
it would get you off of his back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I feel like I need him to do this to save our marriage and our family. I don't know if he sees it that way.
Would he want to save his marriage, his family? That's something he cares about?
I mean, he grew up in like a divorced home, and so did I, and you know, like that was something we talked about early on in our relationship, that we never wanted to get divorced, and now that we have kids, like I mean, I know he doesn't want to separate from the girls, you know, so even if like our relationship, I don't know how he feels about me right at this moment, because I'm always on his back.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, I know he wants to like, he's a great dad and he loves his kids.
So that's another motivator. He loves his kids.
Yeah.
And he wants to raise his kids in a marriage, like his parents and your parents didn't get to do.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just going to make some notes about these so I can remember as we come back to think about how to approach him.
Okay.
And one of the things that we want to do is to think about what motivates him rather necessarily than what motivates you, because those might be different things. And so rather than trying to convince him, we want to connect with what his motivations might be.
Okay.
And it sounds like there's quite a few of them, even though he hasn't made this change yet. He would love to get you off his back.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to have a divorced family like his own parents.
Yeah.
He loves his girls.
Yeah.
And he does want to save this marriage. You wonder.
I wonder about, like, I want that. I don't know if he would say that.
Okay.
Honestly, the only reason he says he wants to cut back on drinking is to lose weight.
Okay, so that's another motivation?
I mean, because he's, like, picked up cycling again, and, you know, I think sort of, like, the guys he rides with on Saturday mornings kind of, like, did a little, like, you know.
So he might have some motivation to lose weight and to kind of be on this athletic health kick.
Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, he's been riding a lot, so I'm sort of...
Okay. So we actually have quite a bit here. So I've made some notes about that. So when we think about windows of opportunity for this conversation, there may not be a perfect time to talk to him about something he doesn't want to talk about. But sometimes they're better than others.
Okay.
When you've thought in the past about times where this conversation's gone maybe less worse than usual, or a time when he's maybe had remorse about his drinking, or a time when he's wanted to be more connected to you, or some embarrassment or injury or problem related to his alcohol use, do any of those things sound to you like windows of opportunity that have happened before?
Well, like, he wants, I feel like when he, like, wants sex.
Okay.
You know. But, okay, that's not even an option right now. I'm so mad at him just because of how his drinking's increased.
Do you feel like that would or would not be a window of opportunity? You feel like that's closed for now?
Yeah.
So when you think about when would be a window of opportunity that he might be slightly more open to this conversation with you?
You know, in the past when we have, like on the occasional times, you know, I'll take the girls to church on Sundays, and every now and then he'll come with me, and sort of afterwards, like if we go to lunch or something, you know, he and I might sort of share a couple words about it where the girls are off playing, and
so Sunday morning after church is a good time for these kinds of conversations. Okay.
And I mean, definitely not during the work week. Like, he comes home late, then the drinking starts, or if he comes home at all, kind of like there's just we're like pure survival mode until the weekends.
Okay, so Sunday morning does seem like a good time.
Yeah, and I don't know, like, he has been, it's only been 2 weekends now, but he goes on these, he's like back with his cycling friends on Saturdays, and like, I don't know if he'll be like on this like endorphin high afterwards.
Okay, so that's another question is, after cycling on Saturday, when he's feeling good and presumably hasn't been drinking.
Yeah,
I mean, he's been riding.
Yeah.
Okay, after cycling on Saturday. Has he had any curiosity about these appointments that you've been going to with me? Does he know about them?
I mean, I don't keep it a secret. He knows, like, I think he just thinks I'm going to a therapist for my own stuff.
Okay. He doesn't express curiosity about that?
No.
Okay. Just to think about for the future, if he did ever express curiosity about what you talk about here, that could be an opportunity too.
Like I would tell him.
Yeah, like you might tell the truth about what you've been talking about.
But how, like, I guess, yeah, I can tell him, like, I go and talk about his drinking. Would that, like, put him on the defense?
Well, what do you think?
I don't know. He's always so worried about, like, what people think of him. But when he makes an ass out of himself at the, company barbecue, wasn't worried then about what people think of him. But
yeah. After that happened, do you think that in his embarrassment or remorse that could have been an opportunity, just looking back on it now? After things like that, is he more defensive, or do you think in his embarrassment he is thinking about change?
I think, he didn't drink that whole week afterwards. So, like, he didn't talk about it at all, but I did notice, like, he didn't drink afterwards.
So let's just put that on another possibility, too. So one is that maybe at some point he would express curiosity about these meetings.
Okay.
Also, if something else happened that was embarrassing to him, he clearly was thinking about some kind of change. He didn't drink for a week. So we'll just be on the lookout for those kind of opportunities. But for now, the two good opportunities for this conversation might be after cycling on a Saturday or those nice family Sunday mornings after church. So thinking about kind of hooks to try something, certainly we have one ask here, which is that he try outpatient. If we thought about a smaller kind of opportunity for him to sample treatment, let's think about what those things could be.
Well, like, I know he doesn't want to do, like, 12-step stuff.
Okay. So let's think about this in terms of kind of a motivational hook.
Okay.
Is that one would be the assurance that he doesn't have to do a 12-step program in order to do something. Okay. So thinking about the opportunity for choice. Okay. So that could be something that you can assure him.
Okay. Yeah.
So another one that comes to mind to me that other people have used is inviting their spouse into this appointment at a future appointment. Not so that I could become his therapist. I wouldn't. I would continue to be your therapist. But that so he could just kind of sample what it was like to come and talk to somebody. And hopefully I would provide an opportunity for that to be not feel judging or shaming or condemning.
Yeah, like he could come here for sure, and maybe, like, that would at least show he's willing to, like...
Yeah, it would be a great first step.
Yeah.
Okay. So even if he's not willing to do the big thing, some smaller things could be inviting him to come here, assuring him that he would have opportunity for choice, that he doesn't have to go to the type of program that wouldn't be a good fit for him.
Yeah.
Anything else come to mind?
Like, I mean, maybe he would want to see his own therapist. I did look up those two that got back to me. Or he could go to anyone. I don't know, but...
So that's another good example, is that, again, even though you have this bigger ask you want to make, a way to sample treatment is to just go meet one time with a therapist privately and have a conversation and see what that feels like. Okay, so I just want us to think about those smaller things as well, because as you approach him to talk to him about treatment and to make these asks, he may not always be willing to do the big thing you want, but he may be willing to do some smaller things.
Okay.
And even though that might feel disappointing if he's only willing to do a smaller thing, we're going to assume that small changes lead to opportunities for more change. Okay. So if you think back to our conversation about rewards for healthy behaviors, that we would want to be rewarding in kind of our attitude of his willingness to take a small step, rather than kind of judgy or condemning.
Like, that's what you're gonna do, like, sort of thing.
So we want to just see if we can get the ball rolling, and so then we want to be really appreciative and positive about things he's willing to do.
Okay.
Even if that may not be exactly how you're feeling.
Yeah.
When he says, well, I'm willing to go do this one thing, but not this other thing.
Yeah.
Does that feel doable?
Yeah. I mean, now that I think about it, because we're talking about, like, could he go talk to somebody about his drinking?
Mm-hmm.
The two people he talks to are his brother, and he's talked to, like, we've seen the same family physician for, like, I don't know, 10 years now, and he will talk to him.
So let's think about this as another kind of hook, which is that it's even just a conversation with his family doctor about his alcohol use. I'm guessing is a conversation he hasn't really had.
Yeah.
And that could be another first step.
Yeah. Like I think, a couple years ago when it was, like, not at the scale it was, when I first started, sort of when I called you, like, he sort of talked to his doctor, and his doctor, he told me later, he was like, oh, he kind of wants me to cut back, and, maybe I should, but this was, like, 5 years ago.
Okay. So that could be a first step, obviously, because you've seen this before. Sometimes these kind of lead to a dead end and we have to try something else. But in this process right now, we are just going to want to see whatever we can get, we'll take.
Okay.
And we'll build off of that.
Okay. Yeah.
So we've talked about what motivates him.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about windows of opportunity. We've talked about kind of hooks for treatment, these kind of motivational hooks, things he might be willing to do, even if he's not willing to do the big thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to talk about the communication here in a second. I just want us to think about, even if you use the window of opportunity and you are thinking about what motivates him and you say the communication all perfectly, as you know, there's a chance he'll just say no. So I want us to think about, so then what? So if you do this, if you go this weekend, it seems like Sunday morning you guys went to church, it just seems like the wind's blowing in the right direction, and you try and he says no, so then what?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like it could go, like, two ways or something. I don't know. Like, one, it would be, I don't know, it's like I feel like I either would be really sad and maybe just sort of shut down, and then we just, like, go about the day and start another week and, like, or we might, like, we kind of might get into it and, like, argue, like if he, like, because I'm either going to get sad or mad.
Yeah.
Because I'm just sort of fed up, and so... Yeah, I don't know what I'll do if he says no.
Okay. So it sounds like you have an idea of what you'll do, which is that you're going to have a feeling about it, and it's going to be disappointing to you.
Yeah.
And the feeling's either going to be sad or mad.
Yeah.
And it sounds like if you're feeling sad about it, then you're really not in a different place than you are normally. You'll start the week feeling upset about his drinking, which sounds like the norm that you've described.
Yeah.
This is not a big, formal, staged intervention that we're doing here. And so what I'd like you to encourage you to think about is that we just will look for another opportunity and try again.
Okay.
So what we're really trying to do here is that this conversation between the two of you really has not been an open conversation. It's kind of been off limits to talk about the alcohol.
Yeah.
And so what we're really trying to do here is to change that and to put the conversation on the table.
Okay.
And so I want to kind of bring down the expectation here that the first time we start talking about it, at least in these recent years, that it's going to go fantastically and he's going to say yes and it's all going to be great. Yeah. It might not be, but that we're just going to try again.
Okay. Do I like keep asking him? Just say, like, will you go to this place? Will you go to this place? Like,
So what we're going to try are new behaviors, not old behaviors. And I know that one of the things you've talked about is kind of what he describes as nagging.
Yeah.
Kind of, and what I think of as really more of kind of your anxiousness and how you try to resolve it.
Yeah.
Hasn't really shifted behavior for him, so we'll avoid that.
Okay.
But you'll give it a try.
Okay.
You'll come back next week. You'll tell me how it went, and we'll kind of adjust and decide what to do from there.
Okay.
Which will be to ask again.
Okay.
But we'll practice the communication. We'll think about windows of opportunity.
Okay.
We'll just try again.
Okay.
Does that feel tolerable to you? That he might say no this first time, but you can try anyway?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, what's going to happen? We're just going to keep going and start our week, and so yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it'll be something. I feel like even just researching, last week I was like, okay, I'm doing something, and so I feel like at least by asking him, I'll be like, it feels good to me.
Yeah.
I'm doing something.
So you might remind yourself as the week goes on, he might not have said yes, but I'm doing something. And that would be a good reminder for yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you are feeling angry, considering that, and we've talked about this before, that a lot of fighting, a lot of anger does not improve the drinking behavior. So if you do get really angry, what could you do to take care of yourself so you can avoid being in a big fight with him?
I think the first thing that comes to mind is maybe ask him in public where I don't want to make a scene.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that is what you described as a good window of opportunity.
Yeah.
Is when you go out after church.
Yeah.
So you might just use your surroundings to kind of check yourself.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and then
and what about the kind of taking care of yourself part?
Yeah, I was like, oh, well, we have been doing that whole self-care stuff for me too.
What would that look like if you did do something that just was just to make yourself feel good?
I think I could maybe just plan, have something planned afterwards.
Like what?
I could go get a pedicure with one of my girlfriends or something, and just say, okay, I have an appointment at 3. I gotta go.
Okay.
Once we're home and everything from lunch, depending on how it goes.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, you look a little unsure. Does that feel like a good plan to you?
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
I definitely do it.
Okay. Okay. All right. So does this feel like you're kind of ready and you could tolerate? You might you're going to ask, it might not go well. I mean, if it goes well, that's another, we'll talk about that too. If it doesn't go well, he says no, you can remind yourself that you are making change, that you are trying new things. And you'll be in a public place, so you won't have a big blow up. And then in the afternoon, you'll take some time and do something for yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that brings us then to the part about what are you going to say? How do you do this? So this is kind of an off-limits conversation, and so it can be hard to kind of find the words in the beginning. So I have this here for you. Okay. I'm going to have you take some notes.
Okay.
And I'm going to kind of lead you through this, and then I'll have you write down, because this will need to be in your own words. It needs to be authentic and true. Okay. But I'm going to kind of guide you about the structure of it.
Okay.
Okay, so we've done this once before, so a little bit of a review.
Okay.
So we're going to use the same positive communication strategy that we used last time.
Yeah.
So we, in general, we want to be brief. So no going on and on and on.
Okay.
Even though that's hard.
Yeah.
And we're going to be specific, and we're ready to be specific because you've done some research. Okay. So we're going to think of, and actually, so let's organize the paper here. Can you draw a line straight down the middle, and then straight down the middle the other way, so horizontal and vertical. And then in that top corner, that'll be our positive statement, which, remember, we want a statement that is the opposite of complaining. So I don't just mean we're going to say nice things, but we can. But we're going to make a positive statement about what you want here. And then the next square is going to be an I statement. And I really want to make sure we talk about your feelings, because I think statements tend to be kind of judgy, and we're going to try to avoid that. The next box there, we're going to make an understanding statement, which, if you remember, is not a statement of agreement, but is a validating or understanding statement about his perspective or feelings.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, that one was hard. I remember, we talked a lot about that. That was hard.
And we can do this in any order. So we might even start with the feelings ones that you're the I feel and the understanding, since those were kind of hard ones. Okay. But we'll see. And then the last one, that'll be the S, and we'll see if there's any shared responsibility or a solution, an offer to help. Okay, so shared responsibility or solution. So remember, what we're talking about is the problems that his drinking is causing to you and the family, and your desire that he start an outpatient or get help of some kind. Okay, does that sound like the conversation you want to have? All right. So we can start anywhere here. What comes to mind when you think about understanding statement, your own feelings, a positive statement about what you want? Where should we start?
I guess what's coming up in my mind is just like, I feel like this can't go on.
Okay. So when you have a thought about, oh, this just can't keep going on, what does that feel like to you?
Just like hopeless.
And I could feel that long.
Yeah.
What else does that feel like? That kind of, and I can kind of sense it. Oh, can we put that into words? There's a hopelessness. There's what else?
I'm just sad that like this is what it's coming to, you know? Like, yeah, I feel sad a lot. If I stay sad too long, I get angry, but
But underneath that is the sadness. Okay, so let's just make a note there. Maybe you can write sad and hopeless, and we'll come back and put that into a sentence here. When you think about him, when you think about his perspective, his feelings about this whole drinking thing and treatment, and what does he think or feel about this that we could express understanding about?
I guess I could try and say like, I understand, like, not like I understand you don't think it's a problem, but maybe something like I get that maybe it doesn't impact him as much, you know, as it impacts others, or I could understand that he, in the past, he's, you know, kind of wanted to change, or like, you know, like the week when he didn't drink at all after he embarrassed himself. I guess I can I understand that was embarrassing what he did.
So if you said that to him now, I understand that was embarrassing what you did. Do you feel like he would agree with you?
I mean, even if he agreed, he won't say he did.
Okay. So let's go back to those other statements, because I feel like there's something in there, which is, I hear you expressing that you understand from his perspective this is not as big of a deal as it is to you.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that sums up what you're trying to say?
Yeah.
And if I said that to him, he would say...
He'd be like, yeah.
Okay, so let's write that down. Because a test of an understanding statement here is we should get a feeling of agreement from him.
Okay.
Right? So we're not trying to convince him of anything.
I understand that you don't think this is as big a deal as I do.
You feel like that works?
Yeah.
Okay, let's write that down. Okay, let's go back to that I statement. And I'm trying to figure out what to say here, because I know you're feeling there's a sense of hopelessness, but I also know that you can't be totally hopeless. Otherwise, you wouldn't have the motivation to be here talking to me about this, and you wouldn't be thinking about approaching him. And there's some part of you that at least that I see, that is hopeful.
Yeah.
Even if you're starting to feel like you're losing that hope.
Yeah.
And there is a heavy sadness here.
Yeah.
So let's think about what's a true statement that we can say to him. So as we say to him, on the one hand, I know from your perspective, this is not as big of a deal as it is to you as it is to me. And I feel,
I guess, I feel scared it's going to get worse.
Yeah. Okay. So let's write that down. So I feel scared that it's going to get worse. And I feel sad that what? Or about what?
I mean, I just feel sad that, like, he is where he is in his life. Like, you know, we're just surviving, you know? Like, we would talk about stuff we'd want to do, or dreams, or trips, you know? And it's just like, I feel sad that he doesn't talk about that stuff anymore, you know?
But you feel like you're missing out on something in there too. You're sad for him and you're sad for you.
Yeah, like, I'm sad for where he is, and I'm sad for, you know, sort of that our life together isn't, like, on the track that we sort of have wanted it to be.
Okay. So let's write that down. I feel sad that our life together is not on track to where we wanted it to be. So I just want to make sure we're talking about you.
Okay.
When we're talking about the feeling statement.
Okay.
Because the understanding statement is the chance to talk about his perspective.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So we're halfway done here. We have the feeling statement and the understanding statement. Let's go back to that beginning, the positive. What is it that you're wanting? You're bringing up this conversation. You're bringing up a conversation you know might not be the most comfortable to have. What are you wanting?
I'm wanting him to be willing and go to this outpatient treatment.
Okay. All right. So let's write this down.
Okay.
So a clear statement about, and we're making sure we're saying what we want rather than a complaint.
Yeah. Like, it's okay to say, I want you to go talk to somebody about your drinking.
Yeah, is that what you'd like to ask him to do?
I mean, I guess I want him to talk to a professional.
Yeah.
Not just anybody, but, you know.
Okay. So I'm asking you to talk to a professional about your drinking.
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're skipping around here, but that's okay. Let's go to the end. There's two parts here. Shared responsibility. You are not responsible for his drinking problem. You don't cause his drinking problem to happen. He is the only one responsible for that. But as we've talked about, behaviors happen kind of between two people, and sometimes dynamics build up around problems, and we all have our own part we play. So that doesn't give you responsibility or blame for his decisions. But thinking about that kind of delicate question, is there any part of this issue, the dynamic around his drinking and the way that it's impacted your marriage and the avoidance of this topic, kind of all the things we've gotten to now, is there any part, even a sliver, that you could say, this part's my responsibility?
Well, I guess I want to be like all those things you just said. Like, yeah, I'm not the one doing the drinking, but, like, I have let it get to this point in my marriage. I haven't talked to him directly about it, or when I have, it's turned into a fight.
Okay.
And most of the time I talk to him about it while he's drinking, which I should know better.
Okay. So those are some great examples. None of those things cause his alcohol problem.
Right.
But those are parts where you're thinking, I haven't always done the best job here, understandably. Yeah. And here are some points that I can say, here's my responsibility. Yeah. So let's see if we can kind of be brief here, because that was one of the things we wanted to do.
Okay.
So what's a brief statement of shared responsibility? And remembering from when we talked about this last time, part of this communication method is to reduce defensiveness. And so sharing some responsibility can go a long way. Yeah. What's a brief statement you could make about that?
Like, I know in the past I've like, I know in the past that I have argued with you about your drinking while you're drinking, and that's not helpful.
Okay.
Is that too long?
No.
Okay.
It's a specific idea.
Okay.
So you've argued about this,
Uh-huh.
and while he's been drinking, that's not been helpful.
Yeah.
Okay. So this last part is a solution. So let's end with an offer to help.
Mhm.
So what specific thing can you offer to help with to move this forward?
I mean, I can share the list of, what, like, the homework I did last week.
Okay, great.
Okay. So I could say, like, I can share a list of people you can talk to if you want to.
Yeah, let's pose it as a question.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that's great.
Okay, like, will you be willing to talk to any of these people?
Sure.
Okay. Okay.
So if you don't mind, can I read to you what you've written? Can I see your paper? And I just want you to hear me say it out loud, and you can tell me if there's anything you want to change. And then we'll wrap up.
Okay.
Okay. So the window of opportunity here is Sunday, if you guys have a family day after church. And so here's what this might sound like. Hey, Mike, I want to talk to you about something. I would like to ask you to talk to a professional about your drinking. And I understand that you don't think this is as big of a deal to you as it is to me, but I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling sad that our life together is not on track to where we wanted it to be, and I'm feeling scared that it's going to get worse. And I know that in the past I've picked arguments with you when you've been drinking, and that's not been helpful. I've been doing some research, and I'm wondering, would you be willing to talk to any of the people that I've looked into?
I don't know if he's gonna make it past the first sentence.
Ah, okay.
I don't know. It sounds good, and I guess it is direct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we don't know how this is going to go.
Yeah.
You may not make it past the first sentence.
Okay.
I maybe in my own feeling of nervousness as I opened, I realized I went to the understanding statement next before I even went to the other parts, maybe because I was sensing that too.
Okay.
And so that might be helpful.
Okay.
People often like hearing understanding statements about their perspective.
Okay.
And remember that you're being brief. You can drop it at any time, and we can pick it up another day.
Okay.
So you don't have to get through this whole conversation the first time. We're breaking the ice.
Okay.
So we're going to wrap up so we end on time. Do you feel like you're ready to try this as homework?
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
if he goes to church with us on Sunday.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So it may be that the window of opportunity doesn't happen.
Okay.
But there's two. There's the cycling after the cycling or after church. I'd encourage you to practice.
Okay.
And then really the measure of homework here is about looking for the opportunity and breaking the ice.
Okay.
Not that we think he's going to say yes the first time. Maybe he will, but probably not.
Okay. If he does,
If he does, then you've done your homework.
I guess, okay, yeah, I have the list.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Good luck.
Well, thank you.
I'll give this to you.
Okay.
And then I'll see you next week.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, thank you.